Big Sonic, are we free? Are we actually free? I feel like I have a lot of control over my actions and my decisions and my life and etc. But sometimes I feel like I'm really just like a sort of like a puppet on a string, and I'm being controlled by things that I can't see, and I've got all these issues and stuff that I can't control, and I feel like I'm just not even, sometimes I feel like I'm not even in control of my own body. Am I just a puppet on a string, Big Sonic? Am I actually free, or am I just like a puppet on a string? This is like so like worrying to me, Big Sonic. I'm actually starting to suffer from some type of existential crisis, Big Sonic. Are we actually free, or are we just puppets on strings being controlled by like different types of things that are like beyond our own control? We're controlled by like different things that we can't even like manipulate. We don't even have our own agency. We're just like puppets on strings and stuff, and we're just being swayed this way and that way by whatever is around us, and we can't really even do anything about it. Big Sonic, I'm freaking out, Big Sonic. Give me some like give me some form of like I guess some form of like some, I don't know, just kind of like help me relax a little bit, Big Sonic. Give me some assurance, give me some like kind of relief. Please tell me, Big Sonic, that we're not just puppets on strings being swayed by everything around us. Please tell me, Big Sonic, that we have our own free will and agency. Small Sonic, you're getting quite hectic right now. You're getting quite frantic, Small Sonic. You're getting quite like or you're going all over the place, Big Sonic. You need to kind of settle down, calm down a little bit. Now, Small Sonic. I'm Big Sonic. Small Sonic. This is a very deep philosophical question. Do we have free will? Are we in control of our own lives and our actions and our decisions, or are we just puppets on strings, being manipulated and swayed by everything around us? It's a very tricky question indeed to answer, Small Sonic, because it's from what we can tell, it does appear to be the case that we are indeed being swayed by whatever is around us. I mean, it does appear to be the case that we're just puppets on strings. I mean, quite frankly, Small Sonic, you didn't choose exactly to be born as Small Sonic. You didn't choose like what area you grew up in. You didn't choose your parents and etc. And I can go on and on. There's so many different things that were beyond your control, and that determined quite a lot of your life and stuff, and how you are as a person, as a hedgehog. So it does appear to be the case that we might not exactly be completely free, and that we're really just puppets on strings, being manipulated and swayed by everything around us and by things that are beyond our own control. But Small Sonic, quite frankly, it's a very deep philosophical question, and there's no right answer to this type of question, and it's impossible to know. It's impossible to know whether we're actually free or whether we're just like puppets on strings being swayed and manipulated by everything around us. Is impossible to know. But it's very easy to like kind of argue for this type of argument that like we're just puppets on strings. We are just being controlled and swayed by everything around us, manipulated by everything in our environment, by things that were beyond our control. Like we were born and stuff, but we didn't choose to be born and etc. and stuff, and we didn't choose our parents, and we didn't choose what place we grew up in and etc. and we didn't choose our family and friends. So I don't know, it's very difficult. It does appear to be the case that we're just puppets on strings. We're merely reacting to everything around us, and we're not even in control of our own lives. That is quite horrifying indeed, Small Sonic. Big Sonic, Big Sonic, Big Sonic, you're right. I didn't choose to be born. I didn't choose my parents, my family, my friends, the area I grew up in. Does that mean that I'm just a byproduct of like all of this all of these types of things that were beyond my control? I'm really just like a sort of like a pre-programmed robot, like a puppet on a string. I wasn't in control of anything in anything regarding my life. I was just like merely reacting and responding to predetermined events and things that happened, that would have happened anyway, even if I was kind of not even like thinking about it. I'm so worried now, Big Sonic. Big Sonic, I'm so fucking worried, Big Sonic. I'm using like swear words now, Big Sonic, because I'm worried. You're giving me an existential crisis, Big Sonic. Do we have free will? Am I just a puppet on a string? Am I just merely responding and reacting to everything around us? Small Sonic, this is quite horrifying indeed, and there appears to be no clear right answer. Indeed, you did not choose your parents, you did not choose your family and friends, you didn't choose the environment you grew up in, you didn't choose your surroundings, your upbringing, you didn't choose anything that's very, very important for who you are as a person. You didn't choose your physiological characteristics. You could have been born as a black hedgehog, not just a blue hedgehog, all of these types of things were beyond your control, and it does appear to be the case that we are merely just puppets on strings. We're merely just responding and reacting to the world around us, and we don't really have our own agency. That is quite horrifying indeed, Small Sonic. But again, this is like a very deep philosophical question, and it's impossible to answer these types of deep philosophical questions. All we can do is speculate. Small Sonic, Big Sonic, you're worrying me, Big Sonic. Are you telling me that I'm just a puppet on a string? I don't have my own agency? I was merely responding and reacting to everything around me? I was not even in control in regards to like my life? And that is so terrifying and horrifying, Big Sonic. You're making me super depressed, Big Sonic. Small Sonic, calm down, Small Sonic. Calm down, Small Sonic. It's very horrifying indeed, but this is like a very deep philosophical question, and we'll never know the true answer to these types of deep philosophical questions, whether or not we are actually free or we're just puppets on strings, whether we have our own agency or again we're just puppets on strings. I'm worried, so I'm getting quite horrified. I'm gonna run away now, Sonic. Oh shoot, guys, he's having an existential crisis. I better come on, kind of like give him some type of therapy. Yo, the topic of this video is going to be about free will. Free will. The topic of this video is going to be about free will. Now, this is so interesting. The topic of this video is very, very interesting. Free will. The topic of this video is going to be about like whether or not us human beings, whether or not we have free will, or whether or not we're just like kind of like pre-programmed like robots, we're automatons, we're puppets on strings, we don't have our own agency. And this is such an interesting topic. This topic is so endlessly debated. Philosophers for countless like centuries, millennia now, thousands of years now, have been kind of like going back and forth, like debating whether or not us human beings, and like maybe perhaps some other types of like creatures have free will. We have our own agency, and or whether or not we're just like fucking we're sort of like we're like, what would be the best type of analogy to use? We're like you know, like in video games, NPC, a non-playable character, like, you know, in video games, like the non-playable characters, they're kind of like they're just like robots, sort of like that. They're like they just follow like a specific code that the video game designers have made for them, and they operate according to this type of code. They don't have their own agency. There's basically automatons. And is that like the same for us human beings? Are we just like automatons, puppets on strings? Do we even have our own agency? Or are we just like kind of like following like a script that we can't see? Do you get it? Are we just like kind of acting out like some type of script that we can't see? This is so interesting. Free will, the topic of free will is so interesting. It relates to so many important existential issues relating to like morality. Let's just say there was like a pedophile, you know, and this pedophile, he actually was, he abducted a bunch of children and he abused them in so many different types of ways, sexually and physically and etc. and stuff. Is that pedophile actually responsible for these types of like these types of atrocities and etc. and these types of like abuses, sexual, physical abuses and stuff? Is the pedophile responsible? A lot of you be like, yeah, of course he is, because he has like his own agency and free will and he's responsible. Of course he is. That's only if you have like, you have to have like this type of presumptions, massive like you have to have like this type of like already you would have to like already assume that this type of pedophile, you would have to believe in like free will to kind of to hold this pedophile accountable for his actions and for like the sexual abuses and physical abuses that he did to children, in order to like hold him accountable, morally speaking, in terms of like morality. In order to, like this in this hypothetical example, like this pedophile abducted a bunch of children and he just sexually abused them, physically abused them. That pedophile, the only way you can hold him accountable is if you believe that he is responsible, he is in complete control of his actions. Otherwise, let's just say, because, you know, let's just play devil's advocate and let's just assume that us human beings, we don't have any type of free will. That means that this pedophile, in actuality, is not even like responsible for like abusing those children and etc. and stuff. He's actually just like just playing out a script that he didn't write for himself. Like that's what, like, if you believe in determinism, basically you believe that us human beings and etc. we're just like, there's like an invisible script, and we're like unconsciously we're just like acting out this type of script. There's like a script that's been written for us, and all we're doing is like we're just like corresponding to the script that we can't see. We're like puppets on strings. We're being like manipulated by all these like extraneous variables, and we're just like, we're not even like in control. We're just like fucking puppets on strings. We're just like actors. We're just like, there's like a script. The script's already been written. We're just like playing it out. It's like, just like, you know, like in a movie, if you ever watch a movie, the beginning of the movie, it's like the movie, when you watch a movie, it's so interesting. You do believe that the movie, like there's like some mystery and etc. and stuff, and the conclusion hasn't been made yet. But you know, all movies are, it's already been put together. There's already like a conclusion. There's like one specific outcome for that movie that you watch. there's always going to be like one outcome for any type of movie you're watching, because a movie's everything's already been put together, all the events have already been kind of like created and stuff, and you're only seeing it from like, you're only seeing it from the beginning to the end. If you could see it, if you could see like all of the scenes, the individual scenes and etc., you would see that everything in that movie is like, there's no mystery or anything like that. A movie is like completely like determined in one specific way. It's determined by the directors and the filmmakers and etc. and stuff. Likewise, us human beings, do we have our own free will and agency? And it's very interesting, and it's an endlessly debated topic, and so you can kind of like, it's very easy to like rationalize determinism, that we human beings, we do not have free will, we don't have our own agency, we're just like puppets on strings. There's like an invisible script, and we're corresponding to that script. That script for our entire lives are like a script, a movie script. It's already, everything's already been written for us and stuff, and we're just gonna be falling into place. We can't like direct ourselves. That's so like interesting to think about this. Like, us human beings, our lives are like a movie script. Everything's kind of like already been put together and stuff. Everything's like kind of been written and stuff. We're just gonna be like falling into place, etc. According to like the script. It's a hypothetical script. In this case, the script will be like our lives and stuff. Free will is so interesting. It's so difficult to properly articulate this topic, whether or not us human beings, we have free will, or if we're just like biological robots. We're like puppets on strings. We're just like automatons. We're just merely responding and reacting to all of these extraneous variables that are around us. It's impossible to know this for sure. But in my humble opinion, I do believe that it's very easy to rationalize determinism. What is determinism? Determinism is like kind of like the opposite of free will. Determinism is this type of philosophical understanding that us human beings, we do not have like any type of soul. We don't have any type of agency. We don't have any type of free will. We're merely just biological robots. We're biological machines. We act in accordance to everything around us. We are like just puppets on strings. We're controlled by everything that's beyond our like agency and stuff like that, where we don't have any real type of agency. That's what determinism is. Determinism is like this type of philosophical understanding that us human beings, and perhaps other creatures and life forms and organisms and whatever, we're all like we're just like biological machines, robots. Really, we're really like robots, just like a robot. Really, a robot has no consciousness. A robot is just like a mechanical like object, basically. You might see like a robot move about and stuff, but that's all of that is just to do with its programming. And if you could look into the robot's circuitry, you'll be able to see like where all the like the movements come from. It's a very linear, like mechanical like thing. Like a robot moves in like a very mechanical, linear way. Likewise, us human beings, determinism, this type of philosophical understanding, basically this philosophical understandings about us, how us human beings and maybe other animals, we're basically biological machines. We don't have our own free will agency. We're biological machines. We're robots. We're androids. We're acting out a script. There's like a script, like, you know, like in movies, there's a movie, you know, if you watch a movie, I do believe that nearly all movies, there's always going to be like one type of outcome. A movie's kind of like already been made. Everything's kind of put together. When you watch a movie, it's all like determined. It feels like there's gonna be like some type of mystery. That a movie, it can go any type of way. But really, if you could see like the movie script, you'll be able to like get like a proper understanding of that movie, and you'll be easily able to tell like what the outcome's gonna be of the movie. What is like gonna be the sort of like the final conclusion, etc. So like you know, us human beings, are we really just like is our lives? Are we just like, you know, us human beings? Is our life, are we just like living a movie? Are we like sort of like just living out a movie, acting out a movie, playing out a movie? Are we just like sort of like in a movie? The script's already, but who wrote the script? That's kind of interesting. But us human beings, are we just like in a movie? Is our lives very analogous to like a movie? There's like a script and it's already been written. Everything's already been like determined. There's already, the conclusion's already been written and stuff. We're just like kind of like falling into place. That's like what determinism is, this type of philosophical understanding that us human beings and other creatures and organisms, we don't have our own agency, free will. We're just acting out. There's everything's already like, it's like, I guess what would be a better analogy? It's like, someone like, kind of like, I don't know, it's like you're falling into place. It's like a puzzle, you know, like a puzzle. You can't like make a puzzle any way you want it to be made. The puzzle, there's like a very specific way to build up a puzzle. The pieces, like they've been crafted in very specific ways, and they can only fit into like these very specific areas of the puzzle. Is that like us human beings? Is that what our lives are like? That where our lives are like a puzzle, basically. Everything, it can only be put together in a specific way. Everything's like very specific and like determined, and we don't really have a lot of options. This is like very dubious, and it's very hard to like properly articulate this, whether or not us human beings, we have free will, we have our own agency, or if we're just biological machines, robots, androids. There's like a script that's already been written for us. We're just corresponding to like some type of invisible movie script that we are none the wiser to. And it's so interesting. Free will, and this is like an endlessly debated topic. whether or not us human beings, we have free will, or if we're just like biological machines, robots. It's so easy to rationalize determinism, because if you it's very easy to rationalize it because you didn't choose who you, like a lot of our lives, we didn't like, you know, like how you were born, like what race you are, what your parents are, who your parents are, what place you were born into, all of that determines quite a lot. You underestimate like the how like a lot of your life has already been predetermined beyond, even regardless of your own like personal convictions and stuff and your personal decisions and agency. A lot of your life has already been predetermined. You don't even realize this. Think about it. You didn't pick your parents. You didn't pick the place you were born. You didn't pick how your appearance is going to be. You didn't pick your genetics. All these types of things add up massively, quite dramatically. All of these types of things, like your genetics, your parents, the location you're born into and stuff, all these types of things, what country you were born into, all of that adds up massively to determine like what your character is, what type of person you're going to be. All of that is so like, all of that gets determined by the fact that like by merely like by like all these like predetermined things, like who your parents are, etc., what culture you're born into, what country you're born into. All of these types of things are so massive. What time period you're born into as well, that's also very important. Imagine if you were born in the medieval period, you'll be kind of like thinking in that type of same mentality of those medieval peasants and people and stuff. All of that, I do believe in determinism to some extent, because quite frankly, if you didn't pick your genetics, you didn't pick your parents, you didn't pick the country and culture you were born into and stuff, all of that adds up massively to determine who you are as a person and your character, your personality. All these types of things are influenced by all of these like sort of like things that are beyond your control, your own individual control agency. But so a lot of people will be like, okay, fair enough, I didn't pick my parents' genetics, family, etc. and stuff like that, and the country and culture I was born into and the time period I was born into, fair enough. But I can still direct my life. I do have like this type of consciousness, and I can still like kind of, life is like a boat, and I can still like move it to where I want it to be and this stuff. I don't know. Free will is like very in terms of like subjectivity, it's like something that we can, free will is intuitive. We all feel, we can, you know what I'm talking about, like you feel that type of agency in you, right? That type of free will agency that you have, you can manipulate your hands and etc. and stuff, and you can do things, and there's like a bunch of options that you can choose and stuff, and you can etc. and stuff. It's kind of like, it feels like you have your own agency. I do believe that determinism is quite true though. Even like this type of feeling of like free will and agency, I do, it might just be an illusion, quite frankly. Everything we do is kind of like according to like some type of script that's beyond our control. It's according to like our biological blueprint, the biological blueprints of our body. What foods you like eating, all of that gets determined by like how your taste buds are, the structure of your tongue and your mouth and your muscles and all that type of stuff. That's what determines like what foods you're attracted to. But this is like so interesting. How come you don't eat like, you know, your own shit? Why don't you enjoy consuming your own feces? It sounds like I'm just being like quite kind of profane. Why is that us human beings, we don't enjoy consuming our own feces? If you think about it from an evolutionary perspective, wouldn't it be better if us human beings, we evolved this type of like thing where we consume our own feces and we don't have to eat like all these other things? We don't have to like worry about like dying of starvation. We can just consume our own feces and keep recycling it. Well, how come like the consumption of feces, that's not something as human beings are attracted to? Why is that? It's because in terms of like, in regards to evolution as human beings, we've evolved in such a way that the structure of our tongues and the muscles in our tongue and like the taste buds, all of that type of stuff, it feels negatively when feces, because I believe that it was kind of like detrimental to our ancestors' survival to consume like feces for whatever reason. Maybe it's because too much bacteria was kind of like filling up the stomach, maybe, I don't know, and that's like a disadvantage. I don't know, maybe that's why a lot of us human beings, we're not like very attracted to feces. But why is that? Is that because of your own free will agency? I choose not to be attracted to feces. Or is it merely because in terms of like evolution, we've evolved in such a way that feces is just not attractive? It wasn't advantageous for our ancestors to be attracted to feces, and that's why we aren't attracted to feces. Think about this so carefully. It feels like we have our own agency, free will, but I do believe that these feelings of like agency and free will is all like an illusion. It quite frankly, perhaps maybe is like an illusion, and that we're not really free at all, and that we're just merely responding to like our biological blueprints, the blueprints in our biology. What you like eating, what you like doing, all of that is like determined by your genetics. You don't understand that. You have to understand that very carefully. Why don't you like consuming your own feces? I sound so profane, so fucking disgusting when why don't you enjoy consuming your own feces? Why is that? Think about it. Why don't you like smelling shit? Isn't that kind of like very interesting? Did you choose not to like, were you like hovering above yourself and you go like, okay, shit is disgusting, I don't want it, like, I don't like smelling shit, that's like something I'm gonna agree to. No, you didn't. It's so weird. We respond to our biological blueprints. Think about that very carefully. Why don't you like why don't you consume your own feces? I know it sounds like I'm just gonna be like, this guy's just weird and autistic and stuff, No, it's very interesting to think about it. Why don't you enjoy consuming your own feces? Why don't you like enjoy the smell of feces and shit and all that and urine, all that type of stuff, our biological fluids? Why don't you enjoy that? Is it because you choose not to enjoy it, or is it because you're just reacting to your biological blueprint? There's like a blueprint in our biology, and we merely just react and respond to that. We don't have our own agency and free will. I do believe in determinism, in my opinion, but determinism is true to some extent. I do believe, I don't know, but still, like, do we even have our own agency and free will? Is everything just predetermined? I don't know, it's so difficult. Intuitively, it does feel like we do have our own agency and free will, like we're responsible for our actions and our decisions and etc. But still, do you consume your own feces? Think about it. Do you want to consume? Do you like and do you enjoy like your own shit, eating your own shit, and smelling your own feces and stuff? If you don't enjoy it, why is that? Why don't you enjoy consuming our own feces? In terms of like evolution, wouldn't it make more sense if we evolved this type of way, this mechanism to consume our own feces? Therefore, we don't have to like go around scavenging for food. We can just recycle our own like bodily fluids and we'll be like perfectly sufficient and healthy. Wouldn't that be more superior? But I don't know. For whatever reason, we didn't evolve this type of mechanism. We evolved to like to react and respond negatively to our like bodily excretions. Think about that very carefully. Why don't you enjoy consuming feces? Why don't you enjoy consuming? How come you don't like eating like rocks? Why is that? You're gonna be like, oh, it's because I don't like it. I choose not to like it. No, you don't choose not to like it. The reason you don't like consuming rocks and your own feces, etc., is because of your biological blueprint. There's like a blueprint in your biology that wasn't made by you. That's predetermined in your genetics. Your genetics were written in such a way that you don't like consuming feces. You don't like eating rocks. Why don't you like eating rocks? It sounds like, oh, I don't like eating rocks because I hate rocks. It's my own free will and agency. I choose not to like consuming rocks. No, it's the reason you don't enjoy eating rocks is because your muscle structure and your biology can't handle that type of the consumption of rocks. It's not because of your own free will and agency. It's because there's like a blueprint in your biology, and the consumption of rocks isn't aligned to that blueprint. Everything, like there's like a blueprint in our biology. I do believe that free will might, quite frankly, it might merely be just an illusion. I do believe that a lot of our lives are very predetermined. It's so insane to think about this very carefully. Why do you like think about like your favorite food, your favorite drink? Why do you enjoy that? You might, like, let's just say you're into chocolate, you enjoy consuming chocolate. Is that because of your own free will and agency? I choose to like eating chocolate, or is it because the structure of your taste buds, the genetic blueprint of your tongue, and etc. is put together in such a way that the biological blueprint in your mouth, the structure of your tongue and your taste buds, etc. is put together in such a way that, okay, I enjoy consuming chocolate. Is that because of it's not because of your own free will agency? It's because of the blueprint in your genetics, the genetic code of your tongue and the muscle tissues and the structure, all of that. That's what determines the reason. That's like the main reason why you enjoy consuming chocolate and any other type of favorite food or drink. It's not because of your own agency, free will, and your own personal decisions. It's because you're responding and reacting to your genetics, your blueprint, the blueprint in your biology. This is so important. Free will. I do believe that free will, quite frankly, it's merely just an illusion. I do believe that. I do believe free will is just merely. It could, quite frankly, be an illusion. Free will, your will. Like, what's free will mean? You're able to like go outside of your outside of like all these types of things that are around you, all these extraneous variables. You can like supersede that, and you can like decide upon things without any type of like extraneous variables and stuff like that. That is like fucking lunacy. Think about it. Your biology. Can you choose to enjoy eating rocks? This is so interesting. That is so interesting. Can you make yourself enjoy eating rocks? And you'll be like, no, of course not. Why is that? Because the genetics and the way your genes are written and the structure of your mouth and your tongue and the taste buds and all that, you can't control that. Why don't you enjoy consuming your own feces? It sounds like I'm just being provocative and kind of like vulgar and insane. The reason you don't enjoy consuming your own feces is because of the fact that your genetics, the structure of your taste buds and the muscle tissue in your mouth and the tongue and all that type of stuff in your mouth and all that. The reason you don't enjoy consuming feces is because, quite frankly, it's because of the fact that your genetics aren't like made for you to. Your genetics are such that you, quite frankly, would find the consumption of feces appalling. I do believe in determinism. Quite frankly, it appears to be like a true determinism to some extent, obviously. But the free will. Back to the topic of this video, free will. I've been talking about like the consumption of feces for quite some time now. But I wanted to like go back to the topic of this video, which is like free will. And do us human beings, we have our own agency. It's quite free will. It's like it feels like we do have our own agency. We can choose and decide upon things. But really, think about it carefully. There's like a vanilla milkshake and there's a chocolate milkshake, but you feel like you want to drink the chocolate milkshake. Is that because, oh, I have my own free will and I'm choosing to consume the chocolate milkshake? Or is it because the reason you like consuming the chocolate milkshake is just because of the structure of your taste buds and your genetics, and you have this blueprint in your biology and your genetics and stuff. Your genetics are such that you get more like dopamine from chocolate touching your taste buds. I do believe in determinism to like such a large extent. Again, there's a vanilla milkshake and a chocolate milkshake, but you feel you're to choose the chocolate milkshake. Why is that? Is it because you have this type of agency and free will, and I don't know, you like chocolate, you want to choose the chocolate milkshake, or is it because the chocolate milkshake, you get more like dopamine in your brain from the consumption of chocolate milkshake, because your genetics are such that when chocolate touches your taste buds, you get like this chemical explosion in your brain, you get dopamine, serotonin release, and you feel like this great surge of pleasure. I do believe in determinism to such a massive extent. Free will, intuitively, free will feels like so real. It feels like we're in control of our own lives. We have our own agency. But quite frankly, if you think about things very carefully, a lot of our lives are so like predetermined. Everything about our lives is so predetermined. Your parents, you didn't pick them. You didn't pick your genetics. You didn't pick how you look. Your parents, all these types of things. These types of things add up massively. These types of things determine your entire life, and you didn't even have any control over them. You didn't choose to pick who you are, your physiological features, your ethnicity, your race, your background, your culture, the country you were born into. All these types of things were beyond your control, and they determine everything so massively. In my humble opinion, I believe that free will might merely just be an illusion, but I mean, we'll never know for sure, and that's about it.